The Iron Vow. Chapter 1, The Oath Beneath the Cross. The air was thick with incense and sweat inside the stone chapel, nestled within the fortress walls of Acre. The year was 1189, and the crusade had entered its bloodiest year. Torches flickered along the stone walls, casting halos over the rusting armor of saints carved in relief. Beneath the shadow of the crucifix stood Sir Alaric of Dorne, tall and broad-shouldered, his beard streaked with red and dust. His sword hung at his side, the hilt etched with the sigil of his house, a roaring lion beneath a golden sun. Before him knelt the boy squire Tomas, barely 15 and wide-eyed, holding a silver bowl of water blessed by the bishop. Alaric dipped his hands, then drew the sign of the cross across his chest. Around him, a dozen knights in chainmail whispered prayers in Latin, voices hushed by the weight of what they were about to face. "We ride at dawn," said Brother Himon, the former monk-turned-war captain. His face bore a long scar that split his lip, a remnant from battles long past. "Word has reached us that the hill tribes have broken past the outer ridges. They march south, toward the Christian villages of the valley." Alaric grunted. "How many?" "A war band. Perhaps 2,000. They are not Saracens, but something older. Wilder." Alaric turned, facing the knights gathered around the altar. "Barbarian hordes," he said, his voice like grinding stone. "From the mountains beyond the desert. Not bound by honor. They burn and devour all they touch. Women, children, they make no distinction." Gasps echoed through the chamber. "They defile the sanctity of this land," Alaric continued. "And for that, we ride." The sun had not yet risen when the gates of Acre groaned open, and the Knights of the Lion Order thundered out. Hooves pounded the dry earth. Banners snapped in the wind, crimson crosses on white fields. Behind them, mule carts carried provisions and water skins. Dust rose in golden plumes as they rode west into the hills. Tomas rode beside Alaric, clutching the reins of his small horse tightly. The boy wore a leather tunic and carried only a dagger at his side. "My lord," he asked, hesitantly, "these tribes, what are they like?" Alaric kept his eyes forward. "Not men as you know them. They do not speak Latin. They paint their bodies in ash. They believe their gods live in fire and bone. Have you fought them before?" "I. Once. Years ago. We lost 50 men before the sun reached its peak." Tomas paled. "How did you survive?" Alaric turned to him, his blue eyes cold as steel. "I made a vow. Under the cross. That I would never fall to such beasts. That I would be a shield to the innocent. And that I would end the barbarian scourge with my own blade." Tomas swallowed hard. "And the vow still holds?" "Stronger than ever." By midday, they reached the foothills, scorched earth and sharp stones. The sky above was a ruthless blue. Crows circled in the distance. Then came the first sign. A plume of smoke curled up from behind a ridge. The knights halted. Alaric raised his gauntlet hand. "Scouts," he barked. 2 riders peeled off and galloped ahead. They returned not 10 minutes later, faces pale. "A village, my lord," one said. "What's left of it?" Alaric's jaw clenched. "Show me." They crested the ridge. The village was little more than charcoal bones, huts reduced to cinders, livestock slaughtered in the dirt. A woman lay in the road, arms outstretched, her body blackened with ash. A wooden crucifix had been torn from the chapel and snapped in two. The knights dismounted in silence. "God's mercy," Brother Himon muttered, crossing himself. Alaric knelt by the body. The air was thick with burnt flesh. "No arrows," he noted. "No siege engines. Just fire and blades." "They move fast," said Himon. Alaric nodded grimly. "They will strike again before nightfall." They set up camp among the ruins, lighting no fires. Watchmen were posted. Horses were fed and watered, their snorts loud in the silence. Tomas couldn't sleep. He sat with his knees to his chest, staring at the half-burned crucifix in the road. Alaric sat beside him, sharpening his blade with a whetstone. "I was born in a place like this," the knight said quietly. "A village near the Black Forest. When I was a boy, raiders came. Took everything. I survived by hiding in a pigsty." Tomas looked up, surprised. "I know fear, boy. I know what it means to lose your home. What did you do?" "I waited. I trained. And one day, I took back what was mine." He handed the boy the whetstone. "Now you sharpen your dagger. You may need it sooner than you think." The attack came just before dawn. A shriek tore through the morning fog, not human, but something primal. Alaric leapt to his feet, sword in hand. A horn sounded. Horses screamed. Then the barbarians poured over the hill like locusts, howling and painted in white ash. They wore bone armor, decorated with skulls and feathers. Some carried crude axes. Others swung flaming torches. Their eyes gleamed with madness. The knights formed a line, shields raised, swords drawn. Alaric roared, "Hold your ground. In the name of God." The clash was brutal. Steel met bone. Fire danced among the tents. Tomas ducked as a screaming savage lunged at him, then Alaric's blade split the attacker's skull. Blood sprayed across the boy's tunic. "Stay behind me," Alaric shouted. Brother Heman cleaved a barbarian in two. Another knight fell, screaming, an axe buried in his back. The line wavered. Alaric surged forward. His blades sang in the air. He carved a path through the enemy, his roars echoing like thunder. "You face the Lion of Dorne," he bellowed. "And I do not yield." One by one, the barbarians began to fall back. The fire in their eyes dimmed. They retreated into the mist, dragging their wounded with them. The silence that followed was heavy with smoke and grief. They buried 6 knights before the sun fully rose. Tomas sat near the graves, arms wrapped around his knees, face smeared with blood and ash. Alaric stood over him. "You fought well." "I was scared," Tomas whispered. "I still am." "Good," said Alaric. "Only fools feel nothing. But you stood your ground. That matters." The boy looked up at the knight. "What happens now?" Alaric stared into the mountains beyond, where the enemy had fled. "Now," he said, gripping the hilt of his sword, "we hunt.